take it to the top. We got to keep it moving. We got to keep it high. We got to keep it moving. Make sure that we take it to the top. We got to keep it moving. We got to never stop. We got to keep it moving. Make sure that we take it to the top.
Hey guys, I'm Pearl Murieri and welcome to the latest episode of My Future, My Career.
And I am Zola. Now, My Future, My Career is proudly brought to you by Nedbank.
This Nedbank initiative is aimed at equipping you with tools to make informed choices when it comes to choosing your career.
So what we're going to do, we're going to take an in-depth look at different career fields, what they entail, and chat to different industry experts from different career fields.
Today, we'll look at careers in accounting.
It's all about numbers and counting them, right?
Yes, of course. So, if you think in digits, rands, nairas, metricas, dollars, cents, then this show is just for you.
So, boys and girls, brace yourself because you are going to meet some amazing people. Let's do this. We kick off with a special message from the man himself, Mike Brown, CEO of Nedbank.
If you plan carefully, set goals for yourself, and then work hard to achieve these, you can be anything you want to be.
Then we have educators Lindsay Maseko and David Naidu, who know how important education is in becoming an accountant.
You are the master of your own destiny, and that you need to go out there, and that you need to go and equip yourself with the education, and that it will never stop.
And then we speak to two ladies who've been making their mark in the field of accounting.
You need to believe in yourself, and if you don't believe in yourself, find somebody that you can talk to about that. I think there's role models out there.
All that and more on the show today.
Do you have big dreams of pursuing your ideal career but don't have the financial means?
Then check out the bursary info in your booklet to find out the many ways in which you can get funds to study.
Let's go straight into it in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, my name is Mike Brown, and I'm the CEO or Chief Executive Officer of Nedbank. And I'm here today to talk to you about careers. Selecting a career for yourself can be a very confusing process. Now that you are in secondary school, you are expected to begin carving a path for your future. The difficulty is that at this point in your life, some of you might not have enough information or experience to make the right choice, and careers themselves are changing rapidly as technology evolves. I was fortunate enough to pursue a career I felt passionately about, but I was in a way lucky to start down the right path. Influenced more by what some friends were doing and what my parents thought than through any formal career guidance. After school, I completed a Bachelor of Commerce degree, followed by a diploma in accountancy, and finally qualified as a chartered accountant with Deloitte in the early 1990s. After 17 years in the banking industry, I have achieved a milestone in my career to have the privilege of leading a proud organization that traces its history back to the 1830s. I say fortunate because I believe that I am the exception, not the rule. To help you become the exception and not the rule, we have launched the My Future, My Career initiative. Through a series of interviews with industry professionals and educational specialists, we hope to paint a clear picture of a wide range of careers available to you, so you don't just follow your friends like I did. To complement the series, we will also be providing each of you with a booklet containing national curriculum information, career information, places to study, and bursary information. These tools will assist you in making an informed choice that will point you in the right direction to match your skills, aptitudes, and passions to market opportunities and get you started on your selected path. Nedbank's slogan is "Make Things Happen." This applies not only to the bank, but to each of you in your own lives. So use the valuable information you will receive today to plan out your own future and make it happen. If you plan carefully, set goals for yourself, and then work hard to achieve these, you can be anything you want to be. Take every opportunity you have and don't be afraid to be ambitious. Who knows, you may even be the CEO of Nedbank one day, or maybe you have already set your goals even higher.
Keep it moving, make sure that we take it to the top.
The first and most important step to becoming an accountant is, of course, education. With us today is a lecturer from UJ and a campus manager from Damelin, who will both account for the different ways this can be done.
I see what you did there. Now, first up, we have David Naidu and Lindsay Maseko.
David is the general manager of Damelin College in Randburg. He has 26 years experience in education, 14 of which have been in private higher education. He holds a bachelor's degree in pedagogics, a bachelor of education degree with honors, and is currently completing his master's in education.
Now, Lindsay is a qualified chartered accountant and a registered auditor. He obtained his BCom accounting degree and honors at University of Johannesburg and completed his articles at KPMG in 2007. Now, in 2008, he joined UJ as a senior lecturer in auditing and taxation. Lindsay is also an exam reviewer and is currently busy completing his master's degree in computer auditing at the University of Johannesburg. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Now, Lindsay, like we mentioned, you are a lecturer,
Yes.
which means that you teach other people how to be accountants. What exactly does a chartered accountant do?
Being a chartered accountant is more of a qualification. So it's a very difficult thing to box and say, like, what do we do? But broadly speaking, because of the rigorous training that you go through, you actually are an exceptional thinker. You have the ability to grasp business. You're a problem solver, and you have the ability to, have critical thinking abilities, as well as being very analytical. So in broad terms, that's what a chartered accountant is, instead of like what they do.
Now, are there different parts one could follow as a chartered accountant?
Chartered accountancy is a qualification that provides you with a springboard to at least 4 main areas. Those 4 main areas would be financial management, auditing, accounting, and taxation. Because you're a generalist in all of those, and as you go through your training, that is what is being instilled in you. So it is merely just a springboard into any of those fields.
What would a learner study at university to become a chartered accountant?
Basically, what you need to do is you need to register at a SAICA accredited university and then study a BCom accounting with specialization in chartered accountancy. Right, that is a 3-year course. As soon as you've done that, then you will have to then qualify, because you also don't automatically just get into your CTA, your certificate in the theory of accounting year. What you need to do then is you need to qualify to get into your CTA year, right? In your as soon as you then have your CTA year and complete that, you are then done with your formal education part. After that, you will then go into the learning environment, like at a firm or at a private sector company, where you will then have to do your articles, which is 3 years. And within that 3 years, you will have to write 2 exams. They call them the qualification exams. If you pass those 2 exams, you are then eligible to register as a CA. So in total, we're talking 7 years.
And in high school, what subjects does a learner need to take?
High school, basically all you need to do is you need to have maths, and I need to clarify and make sure that you understand it's just maths, not maths literacy. And you need to have maths level 4, meaning 50 to 59%. English is also required. Accounting is not a prerequisite to get in. So even if you want to study accounting, you don't necessarily have to have accounting at a high school level, because that's something that they will teach you within a very short space of time in terms of how to account for stuff. So accounting is not a necessity, but it's an add-on if you really need one to.
Wow, it's an add-on. Now, you spoke about high school. How hard is it to get into university as an accounting student?
I'm not gonna beat around the bush and say this is gonna be a walk in the park and just skim through the years. But I would say it's gonna take a bit of hard work, because you require an APS score of between anything from 35 to 41. Now, if I have to bring that in terms of an average, that means you need to get an average between 65 and 70% in your matric year just to qualify to get into a BCom accounting with a specialization in chartered accountancy. So it's definitely not one of the easiest things to get into, but I do believe that a person that can do that has the ability to then become a chartered accountant.
Do they also need technical computer skills?
I think in this world that we live in, it is almost impossible to think about a world without computers. So I would definitely say a basic knowledge of computers is very important. There's no way that a computer will ever be able to replace a human being, especially in accounting, because you always need human interaction. But I would advise any person that wants to want to be a chartered accountant to have a basic entry-level knowledge of something like Word and Excel and those kind of things. And the rest we will obviously furnish you with as you go through your degree at the university.
So now you're a learner, you are qualified, you're a chartered accountant. What companies would employ you?
A better question is like, who would not want to employ you? Everybody wants to employ you. And the reason why everybody wants to employ you is because every single business has a finance department. So you can slot in there very easily. Now, that does not mean, like I said earlier, that you're going to go do the number crunching. It just means that you will always have a job if that's what you're seeking. If you're an entrepreneur, that's not where it stops. Because like then you can use these skills that you've acquired in these 7 years of becoming a chartered accountant, and you can go and consult, and you can open your own practice. So it's definitely not having to be employed. You can, so being employable, that's easy. But you can also go and employ other people if that's what suits your fancy.
Now, it does sound like a very broad spectrum right there. What other opportunities are there?
Are there opportunities in terms of what else you can do with it? I would say, like, you know, like I just said, Nana, you can use it as a springboard to anything. I wouldn't, like anything in business, that is already a given because you are a specialist in your 4 fields, which is your auditing, your accounting, your financial management, and in taxation. Right, so you're a specialist in any of those, but like I said, you have the ability to learn. So if I were to put you in education, I'm in education, I'm a chartered accountant, but I'm in education. So there is no one place where you can say, like, you know, you as a chartered accountant, you will fit in this specific area within any type of an organization.
Now we're coming to you, David. You are campus manager at Damblin College in Randburg, like we mentioned earlier. Now, is university the only option available to learners wanting to enter the accounting profession?
Absolutely not, Pearl. With the situation that we have in South Africa, universities are bursting at the seams. Students need to be aware that there are opportunities for them. They can go to colleges like Damblin to study either a certificate, a diploma, or a degree on a part-time basis or a full-time basis.
What kind of courses, diplomas, and certificates are offered by the colleges?
Well, there's a wide range of courses that a student can choose to decide to study at a college. They can do short learning programs in accounting. Some of them are offered through the ICB, Institute of Certified Bookkeepers, where you can do modules, which last a few months, up to 1.5 years, and a student qualifies with a diploma. Secondly, there's the full-time or part-time diploma in financial accounting, where a student can complete that in 3 years. And lastly, there's the BCom in accounting, which is also 3 years. What's important is that if a student does not qualify for a bachelor's pass, an entrance into a degree program, they can always do a certificate bridging course on NQF5 and then proceed to do their BCom degree.
Now, once they graduate, what kind of jobs would they get with these qualifications?
Well, as my colleague mentioned earlier on, there's a wide range of jobs that they can get into. It ranges from a junior bookkeeper to auditing. You know, the accounting field touches every aspect of a business, and students can fit into any aspect of a business.
So, David, are there any requirements to get into these courses at Damblin or any other colleges?
Absolutely. If you want to study the degree program, you need to have a pass of at least 30% in your language of instruction, and you need to have over 50% in 4 of the recognized subjects.
Now, if a college graduate wanted to progress further with this accounting profession, how would they go about doing so?
There are various options. For example, one of our students who completed his degree last year has now joined the Nedbank learnership program. Further to that, students can always continue doing short courses. They can enroll to do their honors degree, their master's degree. So it's never ending.
So the scholars are watching right now. They need your advice. What advice do you have for them?
Go out there, register for something. Doesn't matter if it's not your dream career or profession or your dream diploma or degree, but start somewhere. And it doesn't have to be full-time. You can go and work, and you can study part-time. Opportunities do exist for you to study in the evenings and on Saturday mornings.
Just to add on to that, I would almost say, like, you know, you need to be the master of your own destiny. I think what we tend to do too often is like we tend to rely on everybody else to kind of step in and do everything for us. I think a student or a scholar at the stage where they are at now must realize that I need to equip myself to fit into this world, because there's not everybody, there's not going to be somebody that's every day going to be there and push me. So I really do believe that you just need to know that you are the master of your own destiny, and that you need to go out there, and that you need to go and equip yourself with the education, and it will never stop. You need to keep on studying, because it is, in the words of Nelson Mandela, the one weapon that can change, I'm going to say, your world, or can almost win any war, if I can paraphrase almost.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, David.
Thank
You're welcome. Thank
That
you for
was
having me on
very
the show.
insightful. Let's see if you have been paying attention.
Is the following statement true or is it false? As an accountant, you are limited to working in a big company or an accounting firm. Is it true or false, Ola?
Gotcha.
The answer coming up just a little later. Is it true?
I said gotcha. Now that we know how to qualify as a chartered accountant, let's meet some people who have been working in the field for a while.
Yes, Bulela Soqi was born in Dimbaza location in the Eastern Cape. Originally a teacher by training, Bulela studied part-time whilst working to attain her qualification as a chartered accountant. After completing her articles at Nedbank, Bulela worked her way up the ranks at a number of large organizations and companies until coming full circle to rejoin Nedbank as the head of audit risk.
Now, Palesa Makobe is a qualified chartered accountant and senior manager in Financial Services Bank Audit Unit at KPMG. Her responsibilities extend from leading her team to new business development. Palesa is a member of ABASA Leadership Program Subcommittee and serves as non-executive director of the African Women's Chartered Accounts Forum.
Yes.
Ladies, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, let's start with you, Bulelo. I mean, from being a school teacher to being a chartered accountant, and now to being an executive at Nedbank. Yay, yay, yay. So take us through the journey and some of the obstacles you had to go through.
Oh, it's been a long journey indeed. It all started when I was in high school. In my school, they started introducing the subject of accounting when I was doing standard 6. And our teachers recommended that all the students that were doing very well in mathematics must actually be put in an accounting class. I didn't know anything about the accounting profession. I was introduced to the CA profession by the student teachers from the University of Fort Hare, who came to the varsity to do their practicals with us. And they helped us a lot in terms of career guidance. They gave us a few options in terms of the careers that we can follow in the accounting profession, where we can get funding and stuff like that. And then what happens is that after I completed my matric, I went and studied a BCom degree at the University of Fort Hare. Unfortunately, I didn't do well. I failed my first year. Hence, I found myself doing a BA degree and then an HDE.
What exactly is an HDE?
It's a higher diploma in education, which is a training to become a teacher. So after completing HDE, I became a teacher and I taught at some of the high school in the Eastern Cape for about 5 years. But I was never satisfied because my dream was always to be a chartered accountant. So whilst working as a teacher, I registered with the University of South Africa, did my BCom degree, and then after that, did my CTA, and after that, I qualified as a chartered accountant.
So we heard from our previous guests that in order to finish your qualification, you need to serve articles at a company. So what I want to know is what the difference is between, serving articles at a company like Nedbank or a firm like KPMG.
The difference between serving articles in an accounting firm and serving articles through the approved organizations is that in an accounting firm, you get exposure in various companies, and your core responsibility is auditing. However, if you serve your articles in a company, you get to understand the company better. And you also get exposure in various fields within the company. For instance, you can get the opportunity to do some work in the capital management space, or in the risk management space, or in the auditing space, or in the financial accounting space. So by the time you finish your articles, you know exactly where the area that you want to specialize in.
As head of audit risk, what exactly does your job entail?
Audit is about providing assurance to the board of directors that the company is managing the risks that can prevent it from achieving its objectives. That entails assessing the risks that will prevent the company from achieving its objectives, and then identifying any controls that the company has put in place to make sure that those risks are managed. So what the auditor does, he checks whether the controls that management has put actually work as intended.
So did you do any additional training to be where you are now?
Most of it is on-the-job training in terms of learning the internal audit. But most of my time, I spent some time whilst I was serving articles also doing the internal audit. But the additional training that you do in order to advance your career, it will be training on soft skills. For instance, I did a training on leadership skills. Last year, Nedbank, I was fortunate enough to be nominated to do a global executive development program through GIPS, which equipped me to be able to improve my leadership skills.
Now let's bring it back to the office. Take us through a typical day in your office.
As a head of audit risk, my day changes on a daily basis. So it depends on the demands of the job. Typically, it depends also on the stage of the audit that you are busy with. For instance, during the early stage of the audit process, while you might be busy with the planning of the audit, and then my role as the leader is to make sure that the team is focusing on the right risk. So I'll spend time brainstorming our audit approach, which areas to look at, where to focus. And then as the audit progresses, then we'll spend more time engaging with our key stakeholders, and also just to get to the grips of what the real issues are, and also reporting back to them. And then on a quarterly basis, we relook at our audit plan, because you know that the businesses, the risk environment, it changes. So it is important that you are able to capture and also look at the emerging risks, for you don't have a static audit plan. So we relook at our audit plan, and then we might have to take some of the audits from the plan and add the audits that poses the highest risk to the company.
Wow.
And Bulela, is there a lot of pressure that comes with your job?
Definitely. Because most of the time you are given a small budget to complete an assignment which requires a lot of time. So which requires then that the auditor must work extended hours to make sure that you complete the work within the required budget, within the agreed budget.
Now, Palesa, we are not going to leave you out of this. You have clearly excelled, in your career. Take us through your background. Palesa,
Sure. I was born in Soweto, Midlands to be exact, and then I went to school. I went to a school, Dumang Primary School in Soweto, and then after that I moved and did my, from Standard 6 to Matric. I still called it Standard 6. My age is showing. It's United Church Prep School. It's a Presbyterian school, but I think it was a really good school. It grounded me well. Then I went to Wits University, and I started at KPMG, but I've been there my whole life.
Yeah, but what would you say led you to your path?
I was always good at maths and accounting, and my teacher was like, you should do accounting. I was like, what's that? He's like, just go and ask them and they'll tell you. So I got there. And then I applied and they're like, you'll get it here. I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. And I happen to be good at it, so that's how I'm here.
Yeah.
So what is your current position at KPMG, and what does your job entail?
I'm a senior manager, and I'm in the bank audit space. You find that we've got banking, we've got insurance. I take you a little bit through how it works. So you'll serve your articles from first to third year. Well, after that, you'll qualify and you'll be a supervisor, which is an assistant manager. You do that for about a year. And you go through another 3 years of manager where you get experience. From then on, you become a senior manager, which is what I am now. My typical job, sure, it varies actually. I've got different portfolios, so it means going to my clients, talking to them about how the audit's going, talking to my teams about, well, how are you guys doing? What sort of problems are you encountering? And I get to meet trainees, I get to sit with the CEOs, I get to meet with CFOs, Apart from that, I'm also involved with graduate recruitment because I love my job. I like to talk to students and tell them about that.
Yeah.
I'm also a qualified trainer, so I train on audit and non-audit courses. So it depends.
It depends.
It depends. That's a typical audit answer. It depends.
And I'm guessing there are a lot of opportunities for accountants at KPMG. Can you name a few common ones that are available?
I mean, the most obvious one is what I do as auditor, but aside from that, you could go and be corporate finance person where you're dealing with due diligence and mergers, acquisitions, looking at that side of it, or you could go through and become in forensics. Funny enough, you get CAs that are doing forensics where they go in. I don't know if you remember the Brett Campbell case where you had people investigating it. CAs were involved in that, so you could do that. You could actually, as a CA, go in and work as a tax practitioner. Yes, that means you study a little bit afterwards, but you could do that too. Aside from a tax practitioner, as Bulela is in internal audit, you could actually work in internal audit in another firm. We've got an internal audit department. You go to actually graduate recruitment. We've got a lot of fully qualified CAs that work in terms of bringing in students. It's a lot easier because I already have that sort of background around it and I can tell people about it. So you could do that. I think it's very wide.
Now, in the same breath, I just want to ask as well, I mean, what's the difference, if there is one, working for a great firm like KPMG as an accountant or working at a different company as an accountant?
And I think to Bulelwa's point, if I'm at KPMG, I go to Standard Bank, I go to Investec, I see different companies, whereas I think if you go to Nedbank or your Standard Bank, it's very focused. You'll get to know the insides and outside of that area, as opposed to me, I've got a very general knowledge, but I think I get to see different companies, you get to experience different things.
Bulela, back at you now. You have worked at a number of firms and companies in different capacities. Can you tell us about some of the accounting that you've practiced in your field?
Okay, I have worked as a financial accountant at TCTA, and financial accounting mainly entails making sure that the accounting records of the company are accurate and complete, and so because those accounting records are used to make the key decisions by the various stakeholders. And then I've also worked as a treasury accountant. Treasury accounting, it mainly involves accounting for various financial instruments.
So what is the difference, if there is, between a tax practitioner, an auditor, and an accountant?
Accountant, as I have explained, the main role of an accountant is the recording of the transactions, as well as ensuring that the financial statements that you report to the external parties are accurate and complete. And the auditor, there's a difference between an internal auditor and an external auditor. An internal auditor is more focused on looking at the control environment, just ensuring that the risks that the company is exposed to are actually mitigated. And then the external auditor comes in to verify the financial statements of the company, to give assurance to the external parties that those financial statements are a true reflection of the financial state of affairs of the company.
And is your work rewarding? Be honest. Whether financially, emotionally, or just, psychologically.
I must be honest, financial rewards are quite good.
Oh, yeah.
And then other than that, it's mentally stimulating because, as Palesa has mentioned, you get exposure in terms of the people that you engage with. You engage with people at different levels. At 1 minute, you're engaging with people at a very junior level, from the people that are on the floor, that are actually doing the job, and then to the senior executives in the company, and sometimes even to the board.
Palesa, does one need a lot of people's skills in order to become a great accountant, or does it all boil down to just crunching those numbers?
Sure, if I did numbers the whole day, I'd go crazy. No, I think people skills are important. From when you start out as a trainee, probably not as important, but you find as you rise through the ranks, all I do is generally, most of my day I spend talking to people. So you have to be able to build networks. I need to win business, so I have to be nice. And I think, and I think it's not just like the nice part. I meet audit committees. I'm always doing some sort of reporting, so I think it's very important to build relationships.
Yeah, and aside from your day-to-day responsibilities, you also act as a role model and mentor to your junior team. What have you noticed are some of the challenges that they face?
Sure, it starts with your first years who've just finished varsity, so they're getting used to the job, the working environment. So it's getting them to understand long hours. Yes, it means that, and balance in your life. You need to find that. I would like to say balance, but balance is not really the right word, because you can never balance, but it's just getting it right, because you realize sometimes you work harder, sometimes not so much. And I think as they progress to when they finish, it's guiding them in terms of, well, what's next? Do I stay in audit? Do I go externally? And if I do, then what? I think it's a lot of, and sharing your own personal experiences. I find people relate a lot more to you if you tell them about you and how you've progressed.
Yeah. Now, do professional development organizations as big as the ABASA and AWCA play a big role in promoting and helping out in the accounting profession?
Completely. ABASA is, it's really about uplifting accountants. And what I like about it is not just to chartered accountants. It deals with any type of accounting, be it whether you're doing CIMA or just an accountant. I think that's amazing. And part of that means going out to the universities, talking to them about it, but also once you're in training to go, okay, what's next? So to equip them in terms of how do you become a manager? How do you then move on? How do you make yourself a brand so that you improve yourself? AWCA is close to my heart because it's more focused on girls. So it's about taking them from when they're still at school, giving them a bursary, to we have these mentorship programs where they come in, have a poverty belt. We'll bring in somebody from a Nedbank, from your Standard Bank, who's been there, done that, and will tell me, even I get out of that to go, what are the pitfalls, so you don't actually end up doing something silly.
Now, I'm going to bring this to the both of you.
Hello.
Accountants are known to be very nerdy.
Yes.
That is not the case with the both of you.
They're cool.
Where does that come from?
I think it's just a stereotype.
Yeah.
Because as an accountant, as Palisa has mentioned, you need to spend time with the people, and you need to build those relationships, because it is only through trust that the people will be able to be honest with you and will be able to give you the right information when you ask for it.
Yeah.
Palisa?
I mean, to add on, it's exactly that. It's the TV. You watch those little accountants with their calculators and things.
yeah.
I am far
With
from
these
that.
goggles.
Oh, please.
Something like that. I think they're meant to present us. Yeah. No, I think people buy from people, and you kind of have to be a people's person. And if you're not that, I think it shows very quickly.
Yeah.
Now, would you recommend accounting as a profession?
Definitely, because I think accounting opens doors to a number of professions. And if you check on the GSE, the majority of the CEOs started as accountants. So for you to run any company as a base, you need to have some form of accounting skills. And also, as Palisa has mentioned, in various jobs, the accounting career is not just limited to financial accounting, tax practitioner, or to the auditor profession. There are various other fields which requires the accounting skills. So I think it is a very good profession as a base.
Palisa, would you recommend it?
Absolutely. And I mean, Bulela said earlier, the money doesn't hurt either.
Hello. Yeah.
No, I think it's very good. And I think you can't go any worse. Even if you don't know what to do that.
Yeah.
And then you can figure it out.
Yeah, now it's quite evident you both have been very successful in your fields. What advice do you have for learners watching right now who are aspiring chartered accountants? Let's start with you, Palisa.
For me, hard work never hurt anybody, and never give up. I think you need to believe in yourself, and if you don't believe in yourself, find somebody that you can talk to about that. I think there's role models out there. Talk to people. That's the one thing we don't do. You want to struggle through stuff. That's one thing I don't do. May I ask questions?
Makes life so much easier, doesn't it?
Totally. Somebody else has been there, done that. How about I learn from them?
Exactly. Nice one.
I think for me is that I would advise them to stay focused, never lose sight of their dreams. Even if you fail, it happened to me. I failed 1 year, but I went back, studied, got it, and here I am today. So I would advise them just to believe in themselves and just to work harder because there is no substitute for hard work.
Exactly. Look at you both now.
Yes,
Thank you very much for
Inspired
joining
so
us.
much.
I think you need to pass these on to them. Yes.
I think I would be really good.
Let's not bust that myth.
But
Looks better on you anyway.
can't see anything.
Sell it.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
After the break, we keep talking money, 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 money when we look at careers in accounting. And to give us the lowdown is one powerful lady and a successful entrepreneur.
All of that right here on My Future, My Career, brought to you by Nedbank. You don't want to miss it.
Make sure that we take it to the top.
Life is about being more savvy with your money, like doing online banking. Eugene, what are you looking for?
Doing a bit of online banking, but I keep getting the feeling I'm being watched. You can never be too safe, you know.
Eugene, Nedbank is the only bank with a unique security feature called Approve It, so you get more secure online banking.
Heard that? Safe, baba.
Make more secure online banking happen with Nedbank Savvy. Visit any Nedbank today.
We got to keep it high. We got to keep
Before the break, we asked,
Is the following statement true or is it false? As an accountant, you are limited to working in a big company or accounting firm.
and wait for it, it is false, because accountants are needed in almost all types of organizations and industries. You'll find accountants in companies,
You'll find them in government,
as business owners,
entrepreneurs.
charitable organizations, hospitals, and many more.
Yes, but up next, more about the exciting world of accounting. Check this out.
sure that we take it to the top.
Our next guests both qualified as chartered accountants and worked their way up the ranks to become highly successful both in and out of the accounting profession. Let's see how accounting has helped them achieve great things.
Yes, let's. Tantaswa Fubu is an executive partner at KPMG and a highly accomplished woman who is passionate about developing others. She believes strongly in her role as mentor and empowers those under her guidance to go further in life. She's the current president of ABASA, the Association for the Advancement of Black Accountants of Southern Africa.
Amazing. Now, Chris Engelberg is an internationally accomplished Springbok paddler and a highly qualified chartered accountant. Both disciplines have taken him all over the world, from boards of directors in the corporate environment to highly successful entrepreneur and franchise owner. Chris is passionate about what he does and is always ready to embrace the next challenge.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Are you ready to embrace this challenge?
Right, no water.
Then that's why you have achieved superstardom status in your accounting profession. I mean, you didn't just wake up and get to where you are now. You must have had a journey. Can you tell us a bit more about where it all started for you and how you got to be where you are now?
Superstardom, I wish. I started off with a degree in industrial psychology and public administration. I worked for the Standard Bank. And then I decided to be a chartered accountant. So I went to University of the Western Cape, and I did what they call the BCom Accountants conversion course, which meant I did 1 year of a BCom, full BCom degree, and then I did my articles to become the chartered accountant. Yeah.
And probably there must have been hurdles along the way. I mean, tell us about some of the most challenging ones and how did you overcome them?
One of the challenges that I found was one, I didn't have maths in matric, for instance, and you know that for one to be a chartered accountant, every university says you need to have maths. So I needed firstly to convince the directors at university that I can do this because I have the sheer will. I want to be a chartered accountant, so I will be able to do this. And yes, I got the chance, I was given the chance. Secondly, coming into doing the articles, you know, the traineeship of being a chartered accountant. There were not too many women, 2 black women at that, who were at that stage coming into the fray. So there was a whole lot of pressure on me to prove myself and say I am actually quite capable of being a chartered accountant and I can do this. And for me, it was not just for me, it was for me and for those that come after me. So I had to push myself quite hard to make sure that I make it.
And you did, because now you are executive partner at KPMG.
It sounds quite glamorous, but it is It is so much more work than being glamour.
What does your role entail?
What it does entail exactly, it means firstly, as part of the executive committee, more than just looking after HR, which is what I am an executive partner of in transformation, it means looking after the whole firm. Because as a team of 8 executive partners, we look after the whole firm, we look after the strategy. Is the firm looking at where it's going? And are we doing what we should be doing? 2, the finances of the firm. Are we achieving what we want to be achieving? Are we making the money that we want to be making? 3, the investments that we're making. Where are we investing our money? For instance, the bursaries that we give out to people, are we giving the bursaries in line with our policy, in line with our vision of what we want to see South Africa being, let's say, in the next 10 years? So are we investing in line with where we want to be as a country? So it's all of those things coming together. And then it is the operations on a day-to-day basis. What are the processes within HR? You know, is the leave policy done properly? Is the timesheet policy done properly? People that are going on maternity leave, are we treating them properly? So it's all those things that I look after.
Now, you did mention it. I mean, it is a fancy title, but now it sounds like you are part of the head that is transforming KPMG. So what does transformation mean in the context of the accounting profession?
Okay. For us, when we talk about transformation, firstly, we talk about being genuine. You know, there are scorecards in the country, there are charters, this charter, that. But if you do not get driven by something here inside that says, what should my country look like? Then you have missed it. So it's about saying you have the demographics of the country where at least 80% of the people are African. And you have the corporate South Africa where it's totally reverse. So what is it that we are willing to do as corporate South Africa to change that landscape and ensure that in the shortest possible time, we have a corporate that is mirroring what the country is looking like in terms of demographics.
Chris, tell us about your background in business.
I was a late starter. While I was studying and became a chartered accountant, I decided to put my studies on hold and become a professional paddler, become a Springbok canoeist, paddle the world, and become the best in all disciplines at that time. And I decided I need to return back to proper business and not enjoy life and just on the water. I joined Ernst & Young, finished my articles with Ernst & Young. Then after that, I became accountant at the Reunert Group, which was a very good base experience, which I experienced at the Reunert Group at that time. From there, I became the sales director of National Mobile, one of our big service providers in the telecom industry. Then I decided I need to get to Africa, work a bit in Africa. It's not just all about Southern Africa, it's about the whole continent. And I spent about 4.5 years in West Africa and Lagos and Nigeria, working for Emmet and doing internet business.
Now, we've heard about your Springbok paddling business and where you've worked. Let's touch more on the educational background, please.
Yes, as while I was studying my accounting, my honors and a master's degree, I was paddling. And then I qualified as a chartered accountant. And then I always had a love for food. While I was in Africa, I had some discussions with Kevin Hederick, the CEO of Famous Brands. And we had various discussions at that time of business opportunities. I ended up walking out of these meetings and buying my first coffee shop, which was quite different. And then I met Natasha, who is the franchisor of the Tasha's Group. And that's where the journey started with the food. And that was all happening. I phoning her and begging her, bought the first Tasha's, her baby, in Athol Square with Sandton. It's about nearly 5 years ago now. Myself and a partner is running that, and that's we're busy in daily business. We're running it, and that's what we do. And 2 years ago, we start our second Tasha's in Tasha's Nickelway in Bryanston.
Well, now you are a qualified CA. You was on one of the board of directors in various companies. But like you mentioned, you decided to follow your passion for restaurants. Why did you follow that passion?
I think that's the beauty about a chartered accountant. If you can manage your profitability in your business and you're going to get a financial grip on the business, you can do anything. And I think that's what chartered accountant give you as a qualification. It opens so many different areas and opportunities for you wherever you go. You can become a restaurateur, you can become a director, you can become a farmer, you can become whichever. The opportunities is endless. If you can manage the business, I think a chartered accountant is just not just by working and doing numbers. What people thinking is just the accountant. It's completely different than accountancy. The endless and you open doors wherever you go. And if you're prepared to work hard, the chartered accountant is an excellent qualification.
Nice.
So what exactly does your job entail?
I get up in the mornings early, get and open the shop probably about 5 o'clock. We open the shop at 6 o'clock in the mornings. See that everything is set up properly. Tasha's restaurant is set up properly in the mornings. Then from there, we interface with the customers, make sure that everything is run properly. As a chartered accountant, very much so on the costing and the financial side of the business. Because I mean, if your cost plate of food you bring out need to be cost properly and the price need to be right. There's a lot of people you need to pay and make sure the business is profitable. From there, taking out food, cleaning tables, serve coffee, and make sure then the people walk into a Tasha's restaurant that they experience what the brand is offering you. I mean, there's three things. It's food and service, and when you're at the restaurant, you need to enjoy the comfort of being there and want to be there.
Chris, what challenges do you face as an entrepreneur and a franchise owner?
I think the biggest thing is on the financial side. You definitely need to get a grip on your financial situation as a franchise holder. You need to be able to work hard. If you don't work hard, you can't make a success around it. You need to have a right education, which is probably most important as well. If you can use the right sort of incredibles and qualifications and embrace that into your work and your profession you're doing daily, and get the right team around you. You need to have a team of people around you.
Would you say there's a demand of what you do in South Africa?
I think so. I think if you look at what food, people always enjoy food. Food is an experience. Brings family and friends together. You want to be together. You want to meet. You want to visit. For that's why people are enjoying food. It's an industry which requires hard work. If you're not prepared in any industry, and if you qualify as a chartered accountant, wherever you qualified in your business, if you're not prepared to work hard, you're definitely not going to make a success of that. And it's also, if you believe in the brand, if you've got a brand and you believe in that specific brand, you will work on passion. It's anything you do. If you're passionate, you can make a success of that.
Yeah, and Chris, honestly, how difficult is it to make it?
If you're prepared to work hard, anything is possible.
Yeah.
You can achieve anything. I think by setting goals and have discipline in yourself and work hard and get the right people around you, you can make a success of any profession in anything what you do and wherever you're going to go. And I think that's what chartered accountant, we heard where you studied first psychology, went into the banks, and where did you go? If you do those things and you do it right, it's definitely you can make a huge success.
Data, so if a learner wanted to get into the business world, would you recommend accounting as a good place to start?
Most definitely. As you heard Chris while he was talking, it just opens up the doors for you. And then it is up to you about what you want to do about those opportunities that get opened up. And it is about the passion that you bring with you. For instance, I know of people that started off and did chartered accountancy and they are now journalists, for instance. Others, they started off with the degree and became CAs, chartered accountants, and now they are working in corporate finance, with the bankers, and they're doing deals and they are modeling stuff, big stuff, great stuff. So there's someone like me who did CA and now I am in HR. So, so it really just opens up a whole lot of doors for you, depending on where your passion lies. I think the critical thing for me is whichever profession, and certainly with the chartered accountancy profession, you have to bring all of you into it.
Yeah.
You can't leave anything behind. Your whole passion, your whole energy, your whole drive has to come through. Otherwise, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Now, would you say the people in the business world value somebody with an accounting degree, and does it give you an advantage if you have it?
Most certainly. I'm not sure whether people know, but specifically South African chartered accountants, they're so highly valued worldwide. We get rated interchangeably #1 or #2 in the world. So it's not only in South Africa that we are valued, it's worldwide that we are valued. So everywhere where you go, you will be taken up, people will value your opinion, people will value having you in the company. Also, if you look at the JSE listed companies and other companies for that matter, you look at who the CFOs are, you look at who the CEOs are, you find that the chartered accountants are coming up as the people that are occupying those positions. So it says something about the value that people place on the designation CASA, which is Chartered Accountancy South Africa. So there is something that it brings, there's a credibility that it brings with it that says, I know my stuff. But it also places a responsibility on us as chartered accountants to say, just because people believe that you can do this, you can't just walk in and waltz, like waltz dance, and you need to walk in and really do your stuff, do the best that you can do, and give of yourself.
Yeah. Now, you've worked with different people. Have there been any who have used the CA qualification beyond accounting?
Of course, there's quite a lot. There's bankers, and I just go back to ABASA, the Association for the Advancement of Black Accountants of Southern Africa. There's Sizwe Nxasana, who's now heading up a First Rand. I mean, that was a past president. He's a past president of ABASA. So he has used that as a leapfrog into something greater than being a CA and being a practicing professional. So people have leapfrog and done other things. Others have gone into some entrepreneurial roles. We've got the immediate past president of ABASA, Andile Khumalo, who is a part owner of a radio station, Power FM. So people are doing great and amazing things with the profession that they have. And to give credence to what Chris said, you really can do anything, and people have proven that they can do anything.
Now, what role does organizations like ABASA play in promoting and advancing the accounting profession?
Okay, we've got various organizations that promote the accountancy profession. Organizations like ABASA, organizations like African Women Chartered Accountancy Forum. We've got SAICA, the institute, for instance. And all of them are there to ensure that, firstly, kids, and African kids at that, do understand that there is this profession, because at a point, people do not know about this profession. Two, they give bursaries to students or learners who want to study this profession. And thirdly, they support these students who want to be in this profession to ensure that they make a success of this profession. So there's almost like a cradle to the grave type of support to the people that are willing or wanting to be in this profession.
Okay. Now, Chris, what is the standard of entrepreneurship here in South Africa compared to the rest of the world?
It's so successful, and I mean, we compare. I mean, I worked in Africa, I worked in Europe as well, some of the organizations where I'm, and what our basis of ground and entrepreneurship and people coming up in South Africa is excellent. I believe, however, the government and those people can do much more to even help our people to grow even more into these different entrepreneurships. I mean, it's just endless. The opportunities is huge.
Yeah.
So what do you attribute to your success?
Hard work. I'm a perfectionist, obsessive, compulsive, perfectionist. All accountants, there's probably something in that in there. And definitely the education. It qualified as a chartered accountant. It has definitely helped me hugely on my success. And then the people surrounding me. You need to surround yourself with an A team of people.
What is that one mistake that cost you a lot?
I think, yes, I venture a lot of money in a lot of different business and capital, and you can lose a lot of money. I mean, you must learn out of these mistakes which you've done in the past, and don't do it again. Sometimes look at the financial and the profitability, and don't always look at your gut feeling.
Yeah.
Another thing is maybe I should have stayed in corporate, stayed a bit longer in corporate, worked there. I could have been a financial director, a CEO, executive KPMG or whatever. But I mean, I would never be able to live my dream. Live your dream and passion and go with that as well is important. And use your expertise, what you sort of go through your education grant and the experience, use that properly.
With that said, what is the best advice you've ever received?
Never hold post-mortem. Go forward and don't think if, look at the past, look forward, and embrace yourself in the future.
Yeah. And Dandaso, what are your top 3 tips for success?
The first one is definitely passion. You cannot achieve anything until and as long as you bring everything that you have, put everything that you have on the table, then you will be successful. 2, never be afraid to make mistakes. Otherwise, we will stand still, we'll be immobilized. We will never innovate if we are afraid to make mistakes. But the critical thing is when we have made mistakes, how do we learn from them and ensure that we become better because of the mistakes that we have made? Number 3 is the lifting as you rise. You know, there's something great that as you rise up, you lift others with you. You know, the universe just works in amazing ways when you see the value of developing others as you develop. It's not just about you, it's about the community.
Yes. And as they say, umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu.
Exactly.
Yes. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for sharing that valuable information.
Thank you.
Amazing stuff. Now, if you're not sure if you've got the nerves and know-how for this career,
then consider this.
Our next guests are from Tutuga Bursary Fund, an organization that aims to actively transform the accounting profession by making bursaries available to African and colored learners who are interested in becoming chartered accountants.
Yes, definitely. Ntato Silivi started out as an educator working at schools in South Africa and America. In 2000, he joined SAICA as the project manager for transformation and is currently the project director for the Tutuga Bursary Fund. Now, Ntato has a BA Honours Sociology degree from RAL and is busy studying towards a law degree through UNISA.
But wait, there's more. Now, Tokelo comes from a small town in Vaal called Meyerton. She received a bursary through the Tutuga Trust and studied BCom accounting at the University of Johannesburg. Now, Tokelo completed her articles at Grant Thornton and worked her way up to senior manager. In 2013, she joined Investec as a sustainability reporting manager and completed a postgraduate diploma in integrated reporting.
Yes.
Wow, wow, wow. Welcome you both.
Thank you very much.
All is good? All is good?
All is good.
Okay. Ntato, let's start with you. How did the Tutuga Bursary, when was it established? And how did it come about?
The Tutuga Bursary Fund started in 2005, and it was established to try and make sure we help redress the imbalances of the past within the accounting profession, wherein we see the membership of SAICA predominantly being white and not being fully representative of the country's demographics. So that's basically the purpose of the Tutuga Bursary Fund.
As a project manager, what are your responsibilities?
I'm not exactly sure what my responsibilities are because they've since grown and developed into a whole host of things. But primarily it's to make sure we recruit students, students that are capable of being able to qualify as chartered accountants. We have to raise the funding that is necessary in order for us to be able to fund those students. It's to ensure that the universities run the programs that are going to make sure that the students are able to pass. That's, in a nutshell, what I do.
Now, how long has the program been running and how many people have actually benefited from it?
If we talk in terms of total beneficiaries, we're talking about 2,500 students that we funded in the last 10 years. We had our first group start in 2005. So we are actually entering our 10th intake year of the bursary fund.
And how many bursaries do you offer each year to qualifying candidates?
Each year, we provide about 850 or so bursaries, but only 350 to 400 to new students coming into the system. But overall, we fund about 800 or so.
What are the qualification criteria for one to apply for a Tutuka bursary?
To apply for the Tutuka bursary, first and foremost, you must have maths as a subject. You must have at least 60% in your mathematics in your grade 11 final results to apply. You must obviously be a citizen of the country. You must either be African or colored, but at the same time, you must also be writing towards a bachelor's pass in order for you to qualify for application.
I can imagine you have a lot of success stories about Tutuka graduates. Do you mind sharing at least one of them?
Well, there's quite a few. You're quite right, and people that we're very proud of in terms of having gone through the system. I'll speak to one candidate in particular. His name is Busisani Mhlambi. He actually qualified to be a CA, but the reason why I want to speak about him is because he's currently a lecturer at the University of Johannesburg, but he's also a coordinator on the Tutuka program at the University of Johannesburg. So he's gone full circle from being a recipient of the bursary, being a student, to now running the program on our behalf at the University of Johannesburg.
That is impressive.
Yeah, so we're very proud of him.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Now, Tugelo, we're coming to you. I mean, you also graduated with the Tutuka bursary, and fast forward years later now, you are a sustainability project manager at Investec. Let's talk about the journey and all these qualifications.
Well, my first encounter with Tutuka started in about 2004, when Ntato came to my high school to present about the CA career stream. And at the time, I was very confused about which profession I was going to follow, because I was very good at both science and accounting. And after he spoke and he said something very compelling, that the majority of the CEOs on our stock exchange are CAs, I thought maybe that's the career for me. And it suited my personality very well. So I applied for the bursary. I was successful, and I then went on to study a BCom at the University of Johannesburg. I did my BCom there for 3 years, did a year of CTA or honors, BCom accounting, and then moved on to do articles, which is a 3-year process again, during which you write board exams. So you do your first board exam in your first year of articles, and then 18 months later, do a second board exam. Once you've passed both your board exams, you have to meet a few competencies, and then you qualify as a CA. From there, once I qualified, I decided to stay on with Grant Thornton as a consultant in the Sustainability and Integrated Reporting department. After which, I was promoted to senior manager, and then last year, I took the big leap to Investec.
Wow. Very impressive.
Totally.
Very, very impressive. Now, how did Tutuka help make your dream a reality?
I think, for one, they funded my studies.
Yeah.
But a lot of it had to do with the emotional and academic support that we got from Tutuka. Because Tutuka does not only just throw money at you, but really tries to develop a well-rounded CA in you. So when we first got there, we all stayed at the same res. We got all our textbooks like a week before study start. We were each allocated a mentor. We had tutors in specific subjects that helped us after the general lectures to get us through university. And because we have dedicated coordinators at the universities, the coordinators serve as a parent almost to you. So you're not stranded out there. And being a black student, we don't have parents who are businessmen or whatever. And Tutuka gave us exposure to those business people.
Tugela, you told us about your journey at university, and it sounds like a lengthy one, which required you to be very disciplined and very dedicated. And it sounds like you put in a lot of hard work into your qualification. What was it like studying accounting at university?
Well, for one, difficult, but certainly doable. I mean, if I could make it, I think anyone else could. It required a lot of dedication, you're right. When I was in first year, I used to literally study 4 hours every evening, Monday to Thursday. And as you go up, it gets more difficult. So into your third year, you're putting in more hours. And your CTA year, you basically give up everything in order to finish your honors program. After that, once you go into articles, you're basically working and you're learning on the job. So there isn't as much study time required, but a lot of focus in the sense that you have to make time to study for your board exams, because you aren't going to lectures every day, but you have to make the time to study. And I think the one thing you can do to get your CA is to have the heart for it, because you must keep the end in mind always. Because there are times when you feel like giving up and you feel like it's too difficult for you, but everyone goes through that. That's why we have a shortage of CAs in the country.
Now, having said that, would you say there was so much pressure rather, for you to succeed within your studies?
Isn't there always? There was a lot of pressure, but I don't think it was quite external. Maybe it's just my personality. I felt because I was so fortunate to get to study something I was passionate about, that I enjoyed, and to have the kind of lifestyle that I was afforded, I owed it to everyone to get through it. And also, as you go through it, once you've done 3 years, you're like, there's just 4 years to go. So let me put in that extra effort.
Yeah.
You get through your 4th year, and you just keep pushing. And before you know it, you're at the end. But yes, there was pressure, a lot of it internal though. Yeah.
Now, take us through how it felt when you finally graduated and became a chartered accountant.
The beauty about studying a 7-year course is that you have a lot of milestones throughout. My first graduation was when I finished my BCom. And that was more for my mother, because I knew I wasn't even halfway through it. So in my mind, it wasn't a big milestone to celebrate. I was relieved, and my mother was delighted. But personally, it was just halfway there. I think it really hit me when I finished my second board exam, because on that day, the audit firms normally take you out for lunch. The whole firm goes out. Everyone's waiting for your results. They come out at 4 o'clock on the particular day. So the whole day, you're waiting for your results, and you're nervous. And you try to distract yourself, but it really doesn't work. And around 3:45, they call you out to the side, they give you an envelope. And they say, your envelope will either say pass or fail. Now, mine didn't say that year. So I opened my envelope and it says, congratulations and well done, and you'll be getting a bonus. And I'm like, where's pass? I cannot see the word pass. And I was freaking out, and people were screaming around me, and I'm like, I can't believe I failed. Where's the word pass? And then it hit me. And that moment, I think, was the greatest joy I've ever felt. I don't think I'll feel that until my wedding day or when I have a baby or something like that.
You never know.
But it was an amazing feeling.
Yeah. Atikelo, you are young, you're African, you're female, you're gorgeous, and you're a chartered accountant in an industry that is traditionally dominated by males. Do you see a landscape and subsequent opportunity for women changing in the industry?
There's definitely a landscape for changing. There are opportunities are abound in the industry. It's a lot more difficult being a young African female CA, but I think if you put in the work, we can definitely make a difference. But we need more of our younger African sisters to come into the professions, because what tends to happen is that people are intimidated by it and don't even make the first step into it. And what we need is to have that throughput coming in.
Now, coming back to you, Ntato, how does one apply for a Tutuka bursary?
Well, I mean, it's quite simple. The application process, you can contact us through our website and get them download the form, which you fill out, which requires the normal particulars and the family income, etc. Or you can just write us a letter at our offices, and we will respond by making sure you get the application form. Or sometimes at exhibitions, we go around and we provide the application form. So it's quite easy. You use your grade 11 results to apply, and you provide us with all the details that the form requires, and that's basically it.
So what is the website address if, Zola and I are interested?
You too, okay. The website address is www.saica.co.za, and our postal address is P.O. Box 59875, Ken Gray 2100.
So Zola and I get onto the website, we fill in the form, and we find that we actually qualify.
Yes.
What next?
What next is we let you know that you need to go for testing, because what we find is we are attracting a whole lot of applications. This past year we had 4,000 applications only for 300 bursaries. So the testing helps us whittle that down. So we will contact you, tell you the date for testing, and you go for that testing. And after that testing, we obviously will have the results, and the results will help us in terms of making sure we have an adequate number. And then from there, the universities take over depending on which university you want to go to.
Now, university is always challenging for a young school leaver. Do you guys offer support to the learners?
As Tukelo said in her answers, Tutuka is all about providing the necessary support, not doing the work for the students, but providing the necessary support for them to thrive. So when a first-year student arrives on any campus, they find the older Tutuka students there to hold their hand and take them through the process of acclimatizing and understanding what the university program is all about.
Yeah, and do you offer bursaries to students from all over South Africa?
From all 9 provinces. Some provinces not as represented as we would like. The Northern Cape, for instance, we still struggle to get to double digits, but all 9 provinces are represented.
Now, what should I be doing in secondary school in order to qualify for a Tutuka bursary?
The best thing that you can do for yourself is to spend the time necessary to get the right marks. Make sure you've got the right subject, maths being the key subject. And of course, spending the time, spending the effort, asking the questions, and really exerting yourself to try and make sure, because your marks are what speak for you in all spheres, especially if you want to go to university or get a bursary.
Yeah. Tugela, you went through the whole process. You applied, you qualified, now you are a chartered accountant. There's a learner watching right now and they want to go through the same process that you went through. Do you have any advice for the aspiring learner?
It's hard to advise because it's a long process, but I think I go back to saying that keep the end in mind, because once you qualify as a chartered accountant, the opportunities are abound. The South African CA is the best renowned in the world, so you can get a job anywhere in the world. And the CA qualification really opens any door in the workplace. So I think if you keep the end in mind, the rest is just about having the heart to go through it and really putting in the hours and giving it all your all.
Thank you very much for joining us. That was very insightful. Now I know, now we can apply. Let's go to the SAICA website.
But before this, we wanted to know the answer to the following question.
The question is, Kathy has 12 black socks and 12 white socks in her drawer. Without looking, how many socks must she take from the drawer in order to be sure to get a pair that match? Any guesses?
Any guesses?
Sorry, I only deal with amounts.
Yeah, you know, that's maths literacy for me.
Really? You're not going to take a wild guess?
No.
Come on. Any number. 6, you are saying?
4.
4. And what is the correct answer?
Not far from the tree. The answer is 3. Now, if you have 3 socks and they are either colored black or white, then you will have at least 2 socks of the same color, giving you 1 matching pair. Guys, I knew this.
They're still very confused.
They're like,
Yeah.
I'm thinking that's first year statistics.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We take it to the top. We got to keep it moving.
And finally, to complete our broadcast, we're joined by Thabile Adams, who's here from the University of Johannesburg's Psychological Services and Career Development Department. Thabile will run through some tools on how to choose the right career.
Yes, Pearl. Now, this week, Thabile will be dealing with the world of work and how the work environment impacts on the choices you make for your career.
That's right. Over to you, Thabile.
Make sure that we take it to the top.
What is the world of work? The world of work is a world that's also known as the marketplace. It's a world in which we get to match who we are, interests, abilities, values, personality with what we do. It's a world in which we spend most of our productive hours in our lives. It's a world in which we enter from the age of 16, 18 until the age of 65. What is a job? A job is a piece of work, either mental or physical, that is done as part of one's occupation for an agreed price. It is a post of employment and can be full-time, part-time, position, or a contract. What is a career? A career is a person's progression or general course of action through life or through a phase of life, as in some profession or undertaking. An occupation or profession, often requiring special training, followed as one's life work. If we simplified these 2 definitions, we could say that work is any form of mental or physical exertion towards an expected outcome. A job is a piece of work for which one is paid or has a contract, and a career is a series of jobs which indicates progression and growth through one's lifetime. Did you know? The world of work has changed over the past 10 years due to internationalization, technology, changing structures of organizations, and cultural diversity in the workplace. What are the requirements to get into the world of work? Depending on what you want to do and how quickly you want to do it, you may need specific requirements for some careers and at times not. Currently, the most minimum requirement is a grade 12 certificate. In some cases, a trade certificate, for example, an electrical trade certificate or boilermaker certificate. In some cases, for a medical degree, if you want to pursue a career as a doctor or an engineer, you will need an engineering degree, and so on and so forth. there are some cases which you do not require educational qualifications. And in this case, training can occur on the job. What type of work can one do? There are endless types of careers, and they can be grouped in various ways. Let's look at a few. There's natural resources, construction, finance, health services, educational services, physical sciences, the arts and culture, entertainment, recreation and sports, and finally hospitality. Obviously, there's a whole lot more which are not mentioned. There are many different work opportunities. Here are a few. Learnership. In a learnership, you learn as you earn. They combine theory and practice, which culminates in a recognized qualification within a specific field. The sector education and training authorities are responsible for learnerships, and the training is intended to prepare you for employment or self-employment. Volunteering, this is working without any form of payment. One benefits greatly from volunteering because you gain experience while empowering communities, and it may lead to many opportunities. Entrepreneurship, this is where you create your own opportunities and build a business. Entrepreneurs are people who are comfortable with uncertainty, taking risks, and are courageous. Low-paying service sector work. This is jobs such as cleaners, plastic packers, and construction workers. And finally, the other opportunity is high-skilled professional jobs. These require high education and training. For example, engineers, psychologists, scientists, and so on and so forth. So, what does this mean for me as I prepare to enter the world of work? You need to understand there's lots of competition in the workplace, and you need to use all the skills which you have acquired throughout your lifetime. No one has a crystal ball to tell you what to do and how to do it, so you should take ownership for your own career choice process. This involves self-insight, researching, planning, goal setting, and reflecting. It's also important to consider all options and be flexible in order to achieve your career goals. How do I become employed? Once you've chosen a type of career, you need to start applying for work. Normally, this follows a process of looking for vacancies, applying by sending a covering letter and a CV, attending interviews, negotiating, and signing the contract. However, many people become employed through networking. Networking is a process of building relationships with people and exploring how you can benefit one another. Sometimes this leads to a person becoming employed by the other within the organization they work. How do I do job research? There are 4 kinds of ways: paper, PC, people, and participation. Paper involves printed information which you can get from the libraries, career centers, or bookstores, or newspapers. The PC, this is doing your research through the internet or online recruitment sites. People, this involves networking, and participation involves you going to the company to do job shadowing as well as volunteering in that company to discover, is this really what I want to do? How do I know if a job is right for me? Searching, gathering information may not be glamorous, and it takes effort. But really, it's the best way to know what's best for you. When you make your final decision on your dream job, you will also know the reasons why this is the best job for you. Rather than assumptions based on your imagination, you'll have a solid reason why this is the best career for you in your field at this time. Often people talk about work ethics. What do they mean by this? Work ethics is belief in the moral benefit and importance of work, and it's an inherent ability to strengthen character. Employers expect their employees to have a good work ethic and be committed to the importance of the job. Poor work ethics is when one does not care about doing a job well because they do not value the importance of the outcome. How do we know what work will be meaningful to us? In order for us to feel work is important to us and strengthen our character, we need to possess self-insight and the ability to reflect. Self-insight assists us in making the right career choice. If we are to make a good choice, we are likely to find work fun, meaningful, and fulfilling. The ability to reflect enables one to continually evaluate and carefully consider our actions or our work so that we can begin to understand what gives us meaning in life, what we enjoy doing, and what we are good at. By reflecting, we can make good estimations of what will make us happy in the future. I hope this has helped you to understand the world of work a little better. Good luck in making the right career choice.
Keep it moving, make sure that we take it to the top.
I'm certain that the information and tools that you have received today will make a positive difference to your future and your career. As you sit here today, your most valuable asset by far is your future earning stream, and that is your choice. My final advice to you is to use this information to the best of your ability. Go out there and ask questions. Contact the appropriate people. Investigate your options and never give up. You are the master of your own destiny. Like Nedbank, you too can make things happen.
Keep it moving, keep it moving.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please speak to your educator to find out about the other topics. And don't forget to register.
Because if you forget, Zola's going to be very upset and you don't want that. Anyway, we hope you have more clarity on the wonderful opportunities that lie ahead of you as you meticulously carve out your career path.
So my final advice as you head into the world of work is quite simple. Make things happen.
Yes, because you'll be accountable for every one of your decisions.
And you can count on that.
Keep it moving. We got to keep it moving. We got to keep it high. We got to keep it moving. Make sure that we take it to the top. We got to keep it moving. We got to never stop. We got to keep it moving. Make sure that we take it to the top. Keep it moving, keep it moving, keep it moving. We got to keep it moving. We got to keep it high. We got to keep it moving. Make sure that we take it to the top.